and turn up the volume. Santana and the Doobie Brothers hit Mystic Lake Amphitheater August 27th.
And I guess that's why they call it the Blues.
For a massive night of classic hits and summer memories in the making.
Rocket Man, I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
Tickets are on sale now. Get the full details at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Couple 13, 14 pastime comedies tend to be excited and delighted to be joined by the legendary one, Mark Rosen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, too. Tend to be, he thinks the Wild are going to finish second. I think they're going to overtake Colorado. It's a tall mountain to climb. They are 7 points behind Colorado. The Lanch have 2 games at hand, I think Tennessee said. They play tonight. It's a battle of the behemoths. And if the Wild are going to fancy any ideas of winning the division, then certainly they have to. They would. You almost feel like they got to win tonight and get 2 points.
It's not taking anything away from the Wild's will to do this, but the point system is such that it's difficult.
It is
to make up those kind of numbers, especially when you're playing against an elite team like Colorado over the course of a short period of time. And I agree with Tana. I think
you do
the logical spot for them, and then finish second. Great. I mean, it's they can get home ice against Dallas and. If you want to look at it that way, although I'm not quite sure it's all that, but we know those are the 3 teams that are going to be in there, and it's just a pecking order of how it ends up. And still a lot of rumors going on about what Billy Guerin is up to.
What do you think he's
St. Louis Blues?
What is the rumor you heard?
What's the dude's name from St. Louis that we keep
Robert
here?
Thomas.
Thomas, yeah, that supposedly Leopold's jet is parked at the St. Louis airport waiting for it.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I mean, you read what
is
you
that
want.
What you heard?
Not what I heard. What I read on
that's
many.
What I mean. Yeah,
he wanted one of many little sites that might be until Michael Russo's tweeting about it. I wouldn't get too excited about it because he's pretty locked into all that. But no, I mean, I think the anticipation potentially is going to be there. But yeah, it's gonna be good to have them not only back on the ice as a team tonight, but facing their one of their arch enemies and a team that they likely would have to get past.
I'd call them the archest enemy.
Well, you go back to I had the pleasure of covering that series in 2003 when they were massive underdogs to Colorado. And it was the end of Patrick Waugh's career, and Andrew Burnett ended it. The Wild were down 3-1, and they came back against all odds and won that series, and it was just a glorious time for an up-and-coming team that had zero expectations, beating Vancouver, then beating Colorado, then, of course, getting swept by Giguère and the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. But that was a fun time because they were, the expectations are a lot higher, obviously, for this team than they were in 2003, but it goes back to that time against the Lanch back in that day. So here we are all these years later, and I mean, it's going to be fun no matter what.
Will you be tuned in tonight?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah, I want to watch. It starts at 8, and then the Wolves, I think, start after 9.
Why is it starting so? Why are these 2 games starting so late? Don't they want to build an audience? I mean, you start at 8 o'clock. The game's not over till 10:30. Some people got to get to bed.
7 o'clock in Colorado.
And then the Wolves. What time are they starting? 9 o'clock? By the time that game gets over till 11, nobody has a chance.
You've got to be kidding me.
Why don't they start those games at 6 o'clock?
I made the mistake the other night of watching that. What I thought was a disjointed Wolves Portland game, and I was kicking myself, going, "Just go to bed."
I tried to tell you.
You're right. And the announcers were, I thought, mediocre at best. And it wasn't their fault that they made me stay up and watch it. But so many timeouts near the end, I went, "Come on!" I hope the hockey game has a night. That was the thing about, and Tana maybe weigh in on this. Obviously, the gold medal game and others as well. Were there any commercials at all during that game? They just
only during the intermissions. Yeah,
that was it. They just played the game. Just played the game. You could not. I talked about the one event more than any other. You literally could not turn away from it. I mean, almost any other sporting event you watch, even a championship thing.
I turn away for a little bit.
Okay.
But not
very long. No, but you get the point. Is that you miss something.
I just start a load of laundry.
So. Well, I understand that. You could have waited until the end of the first period, but that's a good time.
This was during the third period.
I did that too later in the day.
Yeah. In fact, I did a lot of this when it was 4. Wasn't it 5-on-3 at one point? Was that in the third? When was that?
Canada had a 5-on-3.
Yeah, that's when I decided to go do the laundry because I couldn't bear to look. I can't stand the heartache. Do you ever get to the point where you're watching a game and you're so nervous you have to turn away? That's the way I was with the gold medal hockey game. I was so nervous.
I can't believe that.
But you're right. It's not. I was lying.
You're lying about that.
I lie for a living. But
I've had those moments with Viking games, few over the years, where you almost have to turn away.
My uncle,
Karen is a nutcase when she's watching the game at home.
My uncle Werner used to live with us back when I was a kid. He was my mom's brother. He was a big Viking fan. He was also one of the three aces from Hibbing. He and two other guys had state records for swimming. This would have been back in the day. Back in the 1930s.
Wow.
Right. But anyway, he was a Viking fan. I'll never forget. You remember the game in which Moose Eller broke the chalkboard?
Of course.
We were trailing the Rams at the half, and we came back to win.
Yeah, George Allen.
He was so bitter at the half, he left the house to go for a walk. He couldn't listen to the game because it wasn't on TV. It was just on the radio, right? So he left, and he walked all the way to the library, which was about a 5-mile walk because he loved to read. When he came back, and I told him the Vikings came back to win, he couldn't believe it. He thought I was making it up.
He just
couldn't do it. He was so disgusted that they were losing to the Rams.
You bring up a good point about the TV part of it, because I was, junior, and I was hanging out at WCCO at the time, but people forget those. You weren't probably. People weren't around.
They were blacked out.
They were blacked out. And they would show the game.
If they didn't sell a certain amount of tickets, they would say, "Sorry, we're not showing the game locally."
It was a weekly occurrence at times where General Mills would have to step up.
Correct.
By the blackout rule was 72 hours.
Yes.
So by Thursday at noon, if it was a noon game on Sunday, which more times than not it was, they'd have to sell out the tickets, and there was always this drama. Will General Mills buy the tickets up? Yeah. Otherwise, literally, people we'd have to tell them. I remember going, Hal Scott going there and say, well, if you want to watch the Vikings games, you got to drive to Rochester
or Duluth
to watch the game.
Yeah, because that's out of market. That's considered outside the market.
Correct.
That's the way it was back in the day.
It was, and I remember for the longest time, this is, the NBA was not popular at all, and I remember the NBA CBS thing had the rights to it. They had that on like a tape delay or something. I remember we had the Gopher basketball team. We had a feed because it was on CBS,
right?
And it must have been Jim Dutcher's team with all those guys. It may have even been with that group with Michael Thompson and Osborne Lockhart and McHale, those guys, or whatever. They came down to the station. We had and the townhouse we had. You remember the townhouse?
Yeah.
To watch the game live, because that was the only way. We had a special feed. But yeah, the Viking games were, and that's so funny you mentioned that, because I'll think about that, a playoff game not being televised.
Because they didn't
live.
sell out the Met Stadium.
No, and that's 47,000 capacity.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the case. I honestly didn't remember that game was blacked out.
Yeah, it was blacked out.
That was a great story, but your uncle he did not put the game back
he was
on.
so mad. I kept listening, but he left the house because he thought they were done. He was so disgusted with them. When I told him they won, he thought I was making it up, because it was a great comeback for the Vikings. That's where the legendary story that Moose Eller snapped the chalkboard. I mean, he just broke it, the big, huge chalkboard, because he was so angry. Right. And that apparently fired up the club, and they came out and they beat the Rams in the second half.
I remember, Met Stadium press box, the football press box was down the first base line, if you knew the baseball configuration, and the Hail Mary pass that Rashad caught from Tommy Kramer. A lot of the writers, because you had to kind of get down to the the Vikings locker room situation, had left before that hook and ladder play with Joe Sensor and then obviously the pass to Ahmad. And the thing is, I don't think even back then they had monitors necessarily. They maybe out in the hallway they had one. It wasn't like it is now where you could watch the game down there. So I think a lot of the writers were caught flat-footed, just heard the roar of the crowd, didn't know the Vikings had pulled that game out against the Cleveland Browns. So yeah, there's different times, that's for sure.
Last night, a underhanded Oklahoma City team lost 8 to the Pistons. Do you consider that a moral victory for the Thunder?
No.
Well, why not? When the Gophers lost.
Okay, don't even start comparing.
No, because only one key player was missing from Detroit. 6 were missing from the Thunder. That's no different. It's no different. But you're not willing to give Oklahoma City a
no. They're highly paid professional basketball players, not guys that are
They're not as
basically
highly paid as the
Not highly
starters.
paid college basketball players.
Yeah.
No, I don't think the Gophers are highly paid college basketball players. Look at the roster.
I think the guys that played for the Thunder, though, aren't as highly paid as the guys that played for the Pistons, because the Pistons had starters and
They had
the starters
Cunningham
made
and
more money.
I watched a little bit of it. I mean, they were. I mean, I honestly, I think they kind of went through the motions, but OKC hung in there. I guess at the end a little bit. I saw a little bit of it. I didn't watch that much of it because you discouraged me from tuning in because of the obvious thing.
What I do.
OKC didn't have.
I'm a gadfly.
They didn't have many of their players there, and I'm sure it was disappointing for many of the Pistons fans, and they'd like to see them win, but it didn't really matter. They like to see, it's like as we've always talked about, when you go to a top flight, Broadway show or whatever it might be, you don't want to see the understudies. You want to see the stars. I mean, if you get that little piece of paper and going, appearing for George Clooney today as your guy, Bag of Donuts, whatever.
Yeah, Joe Bag of Donuts.
Joe Bag of Donuts, and you go, what the hell? I don't want to see him.
Joe might get everything
I waited.
I
waited
he's
2
not
months.
the same as George Clooney.
Right. I waited 2 months to get tickets for this.
Well,
So.
you matter speaking of that, your Martin Short, Steve
know.
Martin concert did get canceled.
That's
There's
so
a tragic
sad.
story that Martin Short's adopted daughter
Right.
apparently committed suicide at the age of 42. And
Yeah,
so
they were
obviously
doing it.
they stopped the concert. It's over. So they'll reschedule
they have.
it.
I haven't heard. No, that's not important right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember reading Martin Short's book, a few years back. But he's had a lot of personal crises and tragedy in his family. Lost his wife at a young age to ovarian cancer,
Yep.
and I think a mother died young. Brilliant comedian. I've always enjoyed his work for years and years, and the two of them work so well together. So it's too bad, but obviously for obvious reasons, they're not going to go yuck it up on the stage on Saturday. So I assume they're going to reschedule at some appropriate time.
Yeah, probably be a while, but
It probably will.
And I can understand
Yep.
that. I think we
Yep.
all can.
Sure.
There are several other topics I want to get to, including Diana Rossini had some I don't know how to call it. Jaw-dropping, but certainly eye-opening comments about the quarterback situation for what she's learned at the Combine. And Twins have a couple of other issues physically. Lopez out for the season, as we know, with Tommy John surgery. Now Festa is going to miss some significant time. And they pulled out Royce
heard you guys
Lewis
talking about
base
this.
running because overabundance of caution. So those and other topics on the other side of the break. So we'll take a short break. We'll come back.
Also, there's another quarterback that's in the news potentially.
So we'll get to all of that on the other side of the break with the legendary one, Mark Rosen, tend to be in the Common Man here on the Fan. Pastime Common 10B, Mark Rosen here. So the Twins, if you'll remember, Tom Pohlad took over from Joe, and he recently was surprised and actually sounded almost annoyed by the fact that odds makers said the over-under for the Twins was like 73 wins. He said, well, that's preposterous, blah, blah, blah. I think if you asked him now, he might tend to kind of agree with that. I mean, you lose. That was before they lost Lopez. Lopez out for the year. Best pitcher on the team. He's an ace. He's done. Tommy John surgery. Now, David Festa, who again isn't Lopez, but young kid that's had some flashes of being a pretty good pitcher, and I think they were really counting on him to fight it out for a starting spot. He's out for who knows how long. And then the Royce Lewis thing is just, again, it's amazing. He came up lame and in what the Twins describe as an overabundance of caution, pulled him out of the game after he was running the bases. So it's like, now we've got guys falling by the wayside. I mean, if you thought it was going to be tough for them, to be a 500 ball club before all these injuries, now it seems like it doesn't even seem possible anymore.
Royce, not exactly Cal Ripken like.
No.
And this is, and you guys were talking about it a little bit earlier about, is it subscribe to the theory that a lot of these guys, especially a terrific athlete like Royce Lewis, is he overtraining? Is he just, I'm anxious to talk to, and Paul Molitor had plenty of injuries during the early part of his career in particular, but he's always, kept himself going and had to recover from a lot of stints on the disabled list early on. But, you kind of wonder about that era, or even looking at the Twins teams in 87 and 91, and we all know the lineups by now. I don't recall a lot of those guys missing a lot of games. And as far as the pitchers go, man, I'll tell you, it's just, I'm sure everyone's got their own theories. I'm sure our old buddy Tom Kelly probably has interesting theories about it. These guys overthrowing, are they is it all about hitting the radar gun at 3 digits? Is it what are they doing? But because there seems to be just an avalanche of Tommy John surgeries and young pitchers, young guys that just normally think, well, how did these other guys that we watched, and even the Violas and all these, how did they get through all the innings they pitched?
I think it is now. The idea is to throw as hard as you can. That's what it is.
Yeah,
as long as you can,
like
and go to the bullpen. That's what it is. It's they want you to throw. If you can get it as close to 100 miles an hour as you can and strike guys out. And you and I have had this discussion, and it's that's why I don't want to do a deep dive on it. But I like the game when you would move runners over, hit to the opposite field, steal bases. Hitting home runs is great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I encourage guys to hit home runs, but where you really pitch and you try to work the count and do this and that and the other thing, and that's just not the way the game's played anymore. It's just not.
No. Where have you gone, Greg Maddux?
And the thing is because guys get paid for hitting home runs. If you hit 30, 40 home runs, you get a big contract. If you don't, they don't care.
But the Royce Lewis thing is just, I know it's abundance of caution. It's probably much to do about nothing. But when it's Royce Lewis, it's always about something. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's when you look at it and you go, it's not an isolated thing. It's like, how do you even pull a muscle like that? I don't.
Overtraining tend to be.
I hear him say that. I know it's a rhetorical question, but it's just.
I think he's right. I think it's.
But I remember going down. Years of down in spring training, and I'd see Kirby go out there, and he'd be the first one out in the morning. He'd have that nylon jacket on, and he'd be yucking it up with his teammates, and doing wind sprints and all that kind of stuff, and get himself ready for the game and the practices, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know. Puck was built like a fire hydrant, but I don't recall any of those guys. Gaetti, Herbeck, Laudner. I saw Timmy the other night. That would have been a good thing to ask him about. That's an interesting topic about those guys and how they played through everything.
Here's a text message, there's actually an email that came into Common at KFAN.com. It says, is Rosen done doing his podcast? I see he hasn't done one in some time. Just wondering, I need a clear space on my app. Wondering if I should delete him from my app. Gee.
No. Thank you for asking. No, I did one. I was out of town, and then I got sick. The last one I did was Rob McClanahan on the 29th, and Rob talked about obviously the 1980 Olympics, and as we were leading up to this, and I was scheduled to do one this week. I'm doing it next week now with Gavin Kasem, the restaurateur, and our engineer unfortunately wasn't feeling well the other day, so we had to push it back to next Wednesday. But no, I'm rocking and rolling, and we'll be back at it next week. So 2 of them I'm going to do next week. So one of them is Gavin. Yeah,
all right, very good.
I got some good guests lined up down the road. So thank you for asking.
The podcast continues from
yes, and Talk North Sports. Yes, from
Mark Rosen. I was looking up at the screen, the NBA today, and it says who will ultimately decide who wins the MVP or blah blah blah. And it's like in the MVP, I don't see. They had the DraftKings or sports, wherever they are. They had their favorites, and in the first 4, there was no Ant. It was
no.
And I again, I know I spend a lot of time picking on the Wolves and picking on Ant, but I mean, you would think at this point, I don't know why he's not. I guess because the team is floundering in 6th place.
No, I don't think so. I think look at those names: place. Joker, Cunningham, Wemby, SGA.
Well, isn't he
Jaylen Brown?
Isn't he a top 5 player in the league?
Well, he's pretty close to it, but I don't think he's going to get the same consideration as those guys when it comes to the voting. He can put up plenty of impressive statistics, especially his scoring average and et cetera, but I don't think he's going to get that kind of consideration this year. There's too many other players that have elevated their game a little bit over that. And that's not to say that we know that Ant is still the face of the team and what he has to do, and he can lock in 30-plus point games night after night after night, and it's not going to move the needle in terms of, I think, his MVP status. Unless, you bring up a good point. If the Wolves were 1st or 2nd place right now, they'd probably be a different discussion, but they're not. They're in 6th. They're a game out of 4th or something. It's just a wild chase for the end of the playoff situation.
Who do they have up next? Is it?
They got the Clips tonight.
Clips. Is it here or there?
It's there.
We're on the road right now.
We're on the road, and they play at Denver on Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah. So, yeah, tonight, the 9 o'clock start, as you said. It'd be 7 o'clock in L.A.
Break
but
for me.
Yeah, I know. You won't be able to stay up. I can text you and give you updates.
It's okay. It's all right.
You don't want me to?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'll be reading. Last night I was reading about the life and times of Roy Acuff.
Who's that?
Who's Roy Acuff? Legendary country singer from back in the olden days, like the 30s and 40s.
Well, how would
Grand
I know?
Old Opry. I don't know.
Grand Old Opry? Was he with that whole?
Oh yeah, he was in the Grand Old Opry.
Well, good choice of books.
Was that a book?
Oh, I thought you were sort of reading something.
No, yeah, right. But what I do is I stumble across names and I just go to their Wikipedia page and then and read a bio about it.
Ah, okay. I thought you were reading a book.
Are you familiar with Elizabeth Montgomery?
Of course. The actress?
I was reading about her the other night. I read her picture.
She's an actress.
Then I read a story about Dick York and Dick Sargent.
I was reading the same one, I think. About his health issues that he had? Yeah, it was not. Yeah, it was.
Dick York hurt his back during an acting sketch.
Right.
And he was never able to be the same again.
I know.
He had to quit the series because he was in so much pain with his back. They said that in episodes after his injury, that for like the next season, they wrote him out of the storyline a couple times, saying he was out of town on business. Other times you would always see him, he would just be on a couch or in bed.
Interesting.
Because his back was so bad from an injury that he had that the pain was too tremendous. And apparently after he would have to, between scenes, between takes, he'd have to lean up against a wall. It was the only thing he could do. And finally, after being in such pain, like the producer, the director came up to him and said, "Do you want to keep doing this?" He said, "I guess I don't because I can't." Yeah. And he had to leave, and then they replaced him with Dick Sargent. But
that's right.
Yeah. So
sad. I was reading that same story. I mean, you realize that obviously the medical care that they had then.
Were you reading it last night at the same time I was reading it?
It's possible. I really was reading the story about Dick because I'm fascinated by that. I love that show.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Montgomery, I think, also had her own health issues, but
she did. She died of. I think she died cancer, of I think colon cancer.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, she died of cancer.
Yeah, she was terrific. She was good at everything she did. She was in an old, beautiful woman. I mean, she was in an old Twilight. That's being repetitive. Twilight Zone episode, but she was rather striking. But a very good actor. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah,
fun times. But yeah, I can't imagine what those guys went through.
Someone says, is Rosen renaming the podcast Rosen Sports some days?
Oh, come on, man.
That's a pretty good line.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
It's a good line.
I've had a pretty good run of...
Yeah, but you haven't been on a couple of weeks, so I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you missing me.
That guy missed you.
Yeah, it was nice.
They can't wait for you to get back with your...
Yeah, I'm excited. We got lots to talk about with Gavin next week, in particular.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll do it. Like I say, you've got some Viking quarterback stuff. Diana Rossini thinks the Vikings, from what she's learned, she thinks they've made a decision on what they want to do. So we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. Here on the Common Man program with Common Tenby and Mark Rosen here on the Fan. Segment of the Grum for the day. I'm Common Tenby, along with Mark Rosen. Diana Rossini, who writes for The Athletic. This is from Vikings fan page. It says, although Kirk Cousins to the hashtag Vikings makes sense on paper, at DM Rossini says she doesn't see it happening. She mentioned on at Scoop City Show. She mentioned how she's learned this week more than ever how important McCarthy's development is to Minnesota. Here's what she said. I think they really want to develop JJ. I really think they want to get JJ going, and I learned that actually this week more than ever. Your thoughts?
Well, of course, 100%. I don't think there's any doubt.
So you don't think they're going to do like a Cousins or anything like that?
I don't think. I think they're separate discussions. I think that there's no doubt that they're not giving up on JJ McCarthy. that this off season and leading into OTAs and the stuff that we will all be exposed to before you know it, the post draft free agency and everything else, that J.J. McCarthy's opportunity to raise his level into this conversation of many of those other number one draft picks or first round draft picks that from his class has to happen. But that's not to suggest, obviously, the Vikings aren't going to go out and shop around and get themselves a quarterback that they feel is ready to step in, maybe from a standpoint of health as much as productivity, but a combination of the two, that they're not going to get caught. I mean, we all know,
Well, I guess what I'm asking, do you think they're going to actually go out for a guy that's going to be a starter and say another season for McCarthy to wait and learn? Or do you think they're going to just get like, not this guy, but a Sam Howell type, where it's a guy that, hey, he can come in, he can play. If it doesn't work for McCarthy,
I think they're upgrading from Sam Howell's.
Well, no, I know, but when you say upgrade, who's an upgrade from?
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of a name that's out there, but I don't know if it's trading one set of problems for another. There was a new name that came out and surfaced today that he's on the trading block right now, is Anthony Richardson from the Indianapolis Colts. How ironic, because who took over the number one spot for them? Danny Jones. Who apparently will be healthy from coming back from a knee injury. They expect him to be ready for the season. Now, Richardson's been plagued by injuries throughout his young career. He's only 23 years old. Was the fourth overall pick. But are you basically and I don't think he's on a very inexpensive contract right now. They have another 2025 draft pick, Riley Leonard, who would be the second pick. So, he's certainly would be available for the right price. He's only making a little over $1 million as base salary. But what are you getting with Anthony Richardson? I know KOC has talked about him. He went and had a meeting with him when they played the Colts. Said hello. He's had him scouted tremendously. But are you opening yourself up for almost the same set of problems of A, health, and B, what's this guy got? Even though he was just got a world of talent coming into the draft, he's got stuff that's going on.
So do you think Richardson would be, if they went that way, would be like, well, in case McCarthy doesn't work, we have our other young guy? Or
that's why I still think they would. I mean, my own personal opinion, because of the situation with McCarthy, is that they would shy away from a younger guy like Richardson and go with a more veteranish.
But the veteran you get, if you're trying to get a veteran that has a little more upside.
Yep.
If he's not guaranteed to play, this is what I was talking about Cousins, and I don't know if anybody even agrees with me. I don't think Cousins comes here unless he's guaranteed the starting job. I don't think he wants to come here as a backup. There will be some team in this league that will offer him a starting job. They will. There's enough teams without.
You might be right. You might be right.
I might not be. But that's just what my gut tells me, is that he wants to start. He don't want to play. Apparently how upset he was in Atlanta when they drafted Penix.
Right, and he had to sit on the bench for quite a while and wait it out until Penix unfortunately got hurt, and then Kirk got his chance. So I don't know what Kirk's mindset is right now. I mean, he obviously
can you call him?
I could.
Why don't you
under center with Kirk Cousins? We could return to that again. Those glory days of yesteryear.
Do some insighting like you used to do back in the old days. I know you're semi-retired, but come on. Give him a call. See if he'll give you a nugget.
I don't think I have his number anymore. I think he changed his number.
Oh, you could find us. You know enough people.
But yeah, I think I don't know though. I mean, I'm not sure. I think A-Raj doesn't want to go somewhere and go, hey, if I got one more year left in me, I don't want to go back and sit on my helmet on the sidelines. I think he's in a more of a position of saying, I'm going to play. Kirk had to go through it last year with Penix, and he was not happy, obviously, on draft night, and then had to, be the backup until Penix got hurt, and Kirk had mixed results at the end and played. I'm not as convinced that he wouldn't accept a backup role, if you want to look at it that way. But, it depends on how the Vikings are going to really treat this. Is it going to be a real open competition for, let's say, Kirk were to come in here or A-Raj were to come here? Is it going to be an open competition? I just don't think that they're going to. I still think they're looking at J.J. McCarthy going, they got to roll with this guy until proven otherwise. It's just that the leash is going to be a lot shorter, I think, this year from a productivity standpoint. He's got to play well early on. Otherwise, they cannot afford to have we'll lose a couple games here, and if McCarthy is he still slinging the ball 10 feet over Justin Jefferson's head? No, so be it. No, that's not going to work. He's got to play at that level, as I said, with the other guys who were drafted in that draft from a couple of years ago. But I don't know. The Richardson thing is just another name out there that is probably going to be available because the Colts have given him permission to seek.
Maybe he's the
trade.
next Sam Darnold.
Well, different situation, but yeah, you never know.
Next guy that comes out. He's
I just remember
the star.
The guy's got to, again, at some point, you got to believe his talent will shine through. But I mean, Minnesota is, every time there's a national, you mentioned Diana Rossini, and every time quarterbacks are mentioned, it always seems to come back to, boy, this would be a great fit for the Vikings. No matter what quarterback you're talking about, it's like, this is like quarterback haven because of the quarterback whisperer, right? You got Justin Jefferson. You got an improved offensive line. We'll see what they have for the running back situation, but they got pretty much I'm saying a lights out defense, but as long as B-Flow's here, they're going to have a pretty representable defense. It's hard not to look at Minnesota as being one of the top destinations for any of these quarterbacks that are potentially going to be out there. And I'm listening to Gessling, I think yesterday, it sounds like this is going to happen sooner than later when the opening bell hits. I mean, they can make a trade right now, but they just can't announce it till March. I think there was already a trade in the NFL today, but you can't announce it till the official league opener in middle of March in a couple of weeks. So that's going to be here pretty soon. It's not going to drag on, I don't think, too long.
So you think we'll have
I do.
A quarterback of some sort, whether it's strictly a guy to veteran backup, whether it's a Richardson type, or whether it's an Aaron Rodgers going to start the season as quarterback. It's going to be.
I think it'll happen. I think it'll happen in March. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think this. I think even A-Rod, the drama. If he's going to go in a darkness retreat, it's not. I think he's going to make his mind up pretty soon as well. And he may very well go back to Pittsburgh. I don't. They got a new head coach. They got. I don't know
his old buddy McCarthy.
That's right. You're right. Good point.
Pals.
But again, we're talking. All this stuff going on. It's what the NFL does better than they just manage. This news cycle just doesn't end,
and you love it. You eat it up.
Not as much as meat sauce, but
yeah.
But it's intriguing because the quarterback position is the most important position in sports.
No, it's not.
What do you think it is?
Tennessee, write that down. Did you hear?
I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, I'd never heard that before.
Well, the Vikings have only been looking for a franchise quarterback since Fran Tarkenton.
If you ask the United States Olympic hockey team, they would say goaltender.
Well, that's
an important position in sports. That's what I'd say.
No disagreement there, based on what happened over the weekend.
I think goaltender is 1B to 1A.
Well,
what about starting pitcher?
No,
and these days it's not as important.
Yeah, I still put. I say quarterback, and then I say goaltender in hockey. I think that's the next most because we saw what happened. We saw what happened.
Come playoff time, it's the Wild are going to
medal game.
Yeah, 100%. They lose by 3 goals.
Yeah, they probably lose 3-1, 4-1.
Yeah,
who knows?
absolutely. Yeah, he was that good.
He was that good.
Yeah.
He was really good. So.
Yep.
I saw another story at Fish Wrap Factory West Side today by Randy Johnson, who writes Gopher football and college football in general, about it happened in Indiana. Can it happen here? And I think that is one, and we talked about that after Indiana's, not just this national championship, but during the season.
Yeah.
And then the season before, because the season before, I think they went 10-3 or 11-2. I think it might have been 11-2. 11-3, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden from there, they go to 16-0, first team to be undefeated in who knows when. But it's one of those things where it sounds like, well, if they can do it, we can too. And you should be able to. I mean, technically, you should be able to do it. But then as the list goes on of what needs to be done, so much of it's about money, so much of it is about recruiting, so much is about facilities. And while the Gophers have improved in all those areas, I mean, I think we all think Fleck's a good coach. I don't know where he's on the pecking order of best coaches in football, but he's pretty good. I don't know about the recruiting. It's hard to recruit in Minnesota, especially now with NIL and the transfer portal. All that's a little bit more difficult. So many things have to fall in place, as pointed out in Randy's piece, and he's right. I mean, the 1 year where if there would have been a 12-team playoff,
right?
2019, the Gophers were hanging around there. I mean, they finished the season in the AP polls at 10th ranked team in the country, so it can happen, but. It's the old age of Aquarius thing I talk about. Moon in the 7th house, Jupiter lines with Mars. I think it's really I think
I
don't know if
Signetti
we'll see it in my lifetime. I think
Signetti got a lot of credit, and rightfully so, the year before when he took a lot of, again, on paper, they had a lot of 2-3-star athletes that he brought in from his old school, built around them, and obviously he put together some mega stars on that team, especially in that offensive line, to build around. And you don't go undefeated in college football without having, you're not doing it with smoke and mirrors. You're doing it with really good football players. And, Mendoza had a lot to do with it, but their whole team their offensive line was just incredible. So, yeah, I think it's given hope to a lot of other teams that have been woebegone in terms of, or just also rans, or just, bowl game on December 28th in Detroit. And, you keep waiting. I'm with you. I'd like to see it at some point, to see the Gophers get, in that conversation. I think we have, there's an opportunity now for more schools to join the party because of what Indiana did, to look at them and go, wait a minute, this is a basketball school. How did they get into that, rarefied air to become that good for two years in a row and then to win the national championship? So, proof's in the pudding. They got to go get it done. And, you got to recruit a lot of really good players and spend some money and rely on a really good quarterback. And the Vikings, the Gophers feel they have one they can build around, who's going to be here. I mean, I was talking to Guardsy about the Gopher basketball team. We were talking about him yesterday. From year to year, I mean, I said, well, does Nico have a pretty good handle on his team for next year? He goes, as much as he can. I mean, you don't know for sure if any of these guys are going to be back, but a lot of the guys who are hurt are hopefully going to be back next year and contribute mightily to this team. And then plus a couple other recruits they have. It's funny. He showed me they play UCLA. The Gophers play UCLA here Saturday. It's the first time the UCLA basketball team has been here since 1969.
Really? And
someone had printed, and I think Guardsy retweeted it, a box score from that game. And I didn't recognize any of the UCLA. I thought, was this was Walton on that team? Sidney, who was on that UCLA team? I think the Gophers may have won the game. But I looked at it was like on a notebook, old school notebook that they had the box score on. But I mean, that shows you how long it's been since UCLA's played a basketball game here. 1969. They
won 11 in a row, something like that.
Championships. Yeah, they sure did with under Johnny Wooden. I think it was 11.
And
yeah, he did his own sort of recruiting as well.
Oh, he did.
Oh, yeah, he had his bag, man. He had his money.
Really?
God, I heard stories. Yeah, and Wooden was one of those guys that put the blinders on,
pretend he didn't know,
sit quietly with his program rolled up on the. And his pyramid of success. I read all those books, and he had his little tie. And
what's the pyramid of success?
He had a whole thing that about his philosophy about basketball and life, and sort of like the food pyramid, except it has to do with being successful in life.
Like a pyramid scheme.
Well, not a scheme, but it was basically a pyramid thing that he used for his players' motivation and also just kind of life lessons that he taught. Because he was a professor.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, I almost came here because I said you used to tell that story all the time. I had Johnny Wooden all set to come here. His plane got delayed or something. And,
I remember seeing that story. Yeah. Do you think there was any truth to that story?
There's always a kernel of truth with Sid would tell, but
then you wonder. Let's say Johnny Wooden would have stopped here, would have came here. Would we have won 11 titles in a row, or do you think he would have done like Lou Holtz and just left after a year?
After 1 year.
Because Holtz was here for, was it 1 year or two?
Two. My God. And
didn't he have in his contract the only team he could leave for would be Notre Dame? And of course, they offered him a job.
If I recall the whole story, I mean, the late Paul Giel was the athletic director at the time, and he was in the hospital. And I think they offered, I think Lou was also going to be offered the athletic director job. I mean, they wanted to keep him in the worst way. I mean, Lou they got him to play night games at Metrodome, and there was definitely an air of excitement for a lot of those games over there. He was a music man. He could sell anything, and he was damn good at that. He just come down to the station, and he would sling it with the best of them. But he knew how to recruit even back then before they had nil money. But yeah, obviously he went on and took that opportunity to go to Notre Dame. And
Tenneby, you'll be interested in this. Just got a text from Ping Guy that says December already. And there's a picture of Santa Claus.
What?
Well, I'm comfortable hitting it farther and straighter, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And Christmas has come early.
Brilliant!
Man.
Teddy, are you comfortable hitting it farther and straighter?
Well, let's just say I'm about to get more comfortable
There
hitting.
might be something in your stocking as well.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see. I'm comfortable hitting it farther and straighter. That's, I said the call I've been waiting for my whole life.
Right.
That's the text message I've been waiting for my whole life. So I look forward to that. That
You can almost play today. You played in worse weather than this.
Oh, temperature-wise, it's perfect.
for the temp.
I mean,
yeah.
if we would not have had that blizzard last Thursday,
Right.
I do believe there may have been a course or two that opened up. Well, yeah, because the snow was, it was close because the snow was gone in most places.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not far from now.
No. That's good to think about that.
Yeah. Are you going to come out golfing with me this year?
I'd like to.
Why don't you join me and Sauce out at the...
What?
Hey, you, me, Sauce, Johnny Randall, go out and play sometime. Me,
I'd
you,
love
Sauce,
to.
and Tom
I really
Bernard.
would. I'm trying, yeah. I'd love
Maybe
to do
me,
that.
you, Sauce, and Tennessee.
I would do that.
Yeah.
I like
What's
how
Sauce
the other one he said, I'd love to do that. And then when he said Tennessee, he said, I'd do that.
I
would.
say
I
that.
It went from, I would love to do that to, I'd do that.
I guess I'd do that. As long as he doesn't have to ride on the
Sauce
same
doesn't-
card as Tennessee.
Sauce doesn't lose his temper at all, does he?
Not anymore. He's better.
controlled? Okay.
He used to be a guy that would toss a club or two, but
Yeah.
I fixed his game.
What'd you do?
Well, he's still not any good, but he's better. Well, because he was one of those guys who would make a full turn. He would stand there like this, and he would just kind of arm swing it more than anything. And I said, you've got to make your belt buckle.
Yep.
If you can do this, if you have enough flexibility with Sauce, you never know. But he's 42 years old. He's 40 at the time, 39.
Yeah.
I said,
You should have that,
Have
yeah.
your belt buckle face away from the target and finish it with face. He did it one swing and he hit the ball like 250 right up the middle. I told him, he said, you've changed my game. I said, I've changed your life. Right out loud. But I don't know. He still doesn't do it. It's hard. The golf swing's got a handful of different components. Some people have it more complicated than others. But if you have 2 or 3 swing thoughts or whatever the case, sometimes that's too many. But if you can repeat it, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it, Tenneby?
And just think, he shot an 80 at Golden Valley before even having that advice.
Hold on. Yeah, he did. That's what he said. I thought he shot 80 there once.
At Golden Valley.
I don't think he could break 100 at Golden Valley. Maybe he could shoot
Tough golf course.
mid-90s. Yeah, really tough golf course. So what are your, so it's Thursday, so you're out tomorrow. Do you have any big plans for the weekend?
Well, again, unfortunately, we had the tickets, obviously, for the Steve Martin and Martin Short concert, which rightfully has been canceled until further notice. Yeah, we're going to, I don't know what we're doing this weekend. We're seeing some friends on Sunday and just hanging out. I think that's about it.
How about if Tenneby and I come over and hang around and watch some basketball with you?
Oh, boy.
Hello?
Kind of fun.
You're breaking up.
We could do some bonding.
We could.
Be kind of fun.
I'd love to have you come over.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, maybe we'll watch an NCAA basketball tournament or two together.
Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. Now, will you
Well, Common and I have done that for, like 20 years
You
in a row?
guys got together and watched basketball?
We watched every
we watch every
March Madness together.
every March Madness.
State high school hockey tournament together.
Yep.
That's next week, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Where are we in the sectional finals right now?
There are some that have already advanced the state tournament.
Rosemont got in, right?
Rosemont got in. Edina beat
I saw the goal they
Wayzata
scored
last
Oh, my
night.
God. That was crazy. Of course, Edina's back.
But there's still there's more games tonight and maybe another game or two tomorrow night.
Pierre just texted he's getting his new wedges this weekend. It's Christmas for everybody. It's the most
Wonderful time of the year.
Getting new equipment, there's nothing better than getting new equipment. And you got to replace your wedges if you play a lot. If you play 150, 200 rounds a year,
Like you do.
those grooves will start to dull. Then they just don't have that bite, and you can't spin it back and stop it like a guy like I got.
Because you're capable of
I
doing
got that
it. Yeah.
capability. Yeah. So it's a good idea. So I'm looking forward to that.
Good. Otherwise, yeah.
So it's a quiet weekend then, other than
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It is. We're going to catch up on some of our shows and we like to watch. And,
yeah, very good.
Yeah.
I do a little more spring cleaning and maybe go out and I see if I'm comfortable hitting it farther and straight. I think I am. Maybe I'll go take a test drive over at one of the.
So you got new clubs.
Yeah,
I remember you went fitted for
Oh,
them,
yeah. That's the most wonderful time of the year. Christmas has come early. I might go over to the old machine shed, which is now Party Barn, where I did an appearance. They have the simulator thing there. They told me to come on by and take another crack at it, so I might do that this weekend. And that's really about it. Tenna, you got hockey tonight?
Of course. Yeah.
Practice or games? How'd your afternoon game go? You had to duck out yesterday. Did you win, lose, or draw?
We won, so that's why if we would have lost, we would have been done for the year. So tonight will be the last game of the year for at least for Leo's team, for the Squirts.
Is this like a championship game?
Samson and Ingrid still have another week and a half to go here.
Is this a championship game?
If you want to call consolation championship.
Well, it's still a
consolation championship.
It's still a championship if you win the console.
Sure.
Leo, is he a forward, center, defenseman?
Yeah, he plays right wing.
Plays right wing.
Yeah.
They're loving it, right?
Oh,
they are. It's a blast.
Great. That's great.
They love it more than you.
But they'll be all done tonight. So.
You know, when we talked about Deuce playing, Baby Brother Peter playing basketball, somebody sent a text message. I forgot to read this one. They said he may have because we were talking about did you force do people force their kids into certain sports because that's what they played, and we introduced Baby Brother Peter to hockey with Tenna B over at Cook Arena. But the text messenger said maybe Tenna B scared him away because Tenna B was wearing banana underpants when he changed into his breezers. That may have just terrified him.
That would have terrified him, all right.
Brother Peter, so there you go. Well, then we'll see you next week. You have a good weekend. Very good.
Yep.
That's the legendary Mark Rosen.
Thank you.
Tenna B, hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great job.
You as well. We enjoyed our visit with you today. We're back tomorrow. Tomorrow on Program Password is Deuce playing.
Deuce is playing, and Nordo will be in.
Very good. So that's tomorrow, little B, 1 o'clock with the Feminine Touch, and then little Program Password at 1:30. Enjoy the rest of your day. What do you think of that? Stick around. Big Ticket JG there next. All right. Cheering the fan.
Later.
Adios. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night. Good morning. Good afternoon. And good night, Minnesota.
And good night, folks. And good night, Mrs. Calabash. Wherever you are.
Listen back to any of Common Man's programs by podcasting on the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.